Shanghai says it's reopening, but it's still doing COVID lockdowns. Will China ever stop locking down? Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm Matt Ganejda, filling in today for Chris Chappell. This episode is sponsored by Surfshark. You should be using a VPN like Surfshark to protect yourself whenever you go online. Finally, after 2+ months of a zero COVID lockdown, Shanghai is reopening. Once again, a thriving metropolis. Streets full of life. Ah, the hustle and bustle. Oh, hey, look. More people. All of them out and about, enjoying the day, going to a COVID testing site. Isn't zero COVID great? Now, the footage I just showed you was from the international news service Reuters. Chinese state-run media have a slightly different take on the situation. Here's footage from state-run China News Service. They say Shanghai streets are getting back to normal. To be clear, we did not speed up this footage. China News Service did that. Yeah, when you have to speed up footage to make it look like there are more people on the street, that doesn't exactly scream getting back to normal. To be fair, here's some state-run media footage that actually shows a decent number of people on the streets. You can see dozens of people at a time. Dozens! In a city of 26 million. And it turns out, this was probably the busiest street in Shanghai. According to a reporter for The Economist, state-run media are using this street to make it look like all of Shanghai is back to normal, when it is not. Now that Shanghai is slowly reopening, Chinese authorities are trying to make people forget all the ways they've screwed up over the last few months. And to do that, they need to emphasize how great things are in Shanghai now, turning defeat into victory. Shanghai is aiming to end its lockdown by June 1st. That's only a week from now. So get ready for a giant load of propaganda. Like, isn't it great that the Shanghai Metro is starting to reopen? Let's hear from the man on the street or woman in the subway.
您是哪一站上车的？哪一站上车的？
延西路。
延西路是吧？什么样的心情啊？现在？什么样的心情啊？能够做到？
坐地铁今天特别高兴，因为呢封了将近要2个月了吧。自从我出生到现在，还没有受过这样的日子，被关在家里啊，不能出去啊，真是天大的笑话。
好的，谢谢您阿姨。
So that didn't exactly go as planned. My favorite part is the attempt to save it by moving the mic and camera away while we can still hear her trash talking the lockdown. But don't worry, they'll fix it in post. Let's try asking someone else how they're doing, shall we?
我们也真的是太难了，这种，在这里50多天，物资什么都没发过，在这实在是。
好的，也谢谢您。那祝您一路顺利哈。好的。
Chinese aunties, they tell it like it is. But this is a big risk for Chinese officials. The Chinese Communist Party needs to declare victory in Shanghai next week. So they're using propaganda to pump up the positive vibes. The problem is, Shanghai residents aren't buying it, especially when they keep getting locked down again. Over the weekend, Shanghai's Jing'an district went back into lockdown. Of course, they're not calling it that. They're calling it a quiet period. What a fun lockdown euphemism. Everyone needs a quiet period, just like in preschool. Look, you've been outside for an entire 30 minutes. You must be exhausted. Go home and take a nap for the next 3 days. Then you can go outside again. Maybe. But this keeps happening over and over while the Chinese regime tries to tell the world that Shanghai is getting back to normal. So, yeah, people in Shanghai are angry. And after the break, it gets worse. Welcome back. What will Shanghai residents do when they finally get out of lockdown? Go to Shanghai Disneyland. Okay, maybe not. That is the stuff of nightmares. But Shanghai residents don't have to worry about that for now, because a lot of them still aren't allowed to leave their neighborhoods, even though they're supposed to be. That's because the neighborhood committees want to keep them locked down. These committees are made of low-level officials, sometimes even volunteers, and they say whether people can leave or not. According to official numbers, 85% of Shanghai residents are living in COVID-free areas, and they're supposed to be able to leave their apartment complexes and walk around their neighborhoods. But the local neighborhood committees aren't letting them out, or they're only letting them out for 20 minutes, or they're only letting them walk 20 meters from their apartment complex. It's totally arbitrary and stupid, and it's because the neighborhood committees are afraid. They're afraid that if they let people out and they get COVID, then the neighborhood committee will get in trouble. And to be fair, they probably will. This is how the Chinese Communist Party works. The directives come down from the top, and if anything goes wrong, people at the bottom get the blame. People don't usually get punished for following the rules too strictly. So neighborhood committees are incentivized to not let people out unless it's 100% safe. And it's never 100% safe, which means that in Shanghai, sudden lockdowns of neighborhoods or districts are going to keep happening even after the city supposedly reopens. Speaking of lockdowns, China just locked down Tianjin, a port city of 14 million people. The Chinese regime is not calling it a lockdown, though. They're calling it static management, another fun lockdown euphemism. People have to remain static in their place of residence, except for COVID testing, of course. And they're also moving thousands of people into quarantine camps. And the Tianjin lockdown is going to keep going for a while, because Tianjin is less than 100 miles from Beijing. And the Chinese Communist Party absolutely cannot have a big COVID outbreak in Beijing, which they're definitely worried about. Beijing is tightening their COVID policies. Of course, they're not calling it a lockdown either. They're just extending work from home requirements and sending thousands of people to quarantine camps, even though they're COVID negative. They haven't actually locked people in their apartments yet, but it's going in that direction, especially because Communist Party official Sun Chunlan just did a COVID inspection of Beijing. And whenever she does one of these harsher lockdowns, follow. For example, she said that Beijing officials need to speed up contact tracing, transfer, and quarantine work to achieve zero COVID community transmission as fast as possible. So what that means is more lockdowns, more testing, and more sending anyone who might test positive to a quarantine camp, even if they don't have COVID. When these fences start going up, that's not a good sign. But I do see a lot of fun COVID euphemisms in Beijing's future. And this episode is sponsored by Surfshark. Whenever you go online, the websites you visit are tracking you. And then they give records of your activities to advertisers, and sometimes even the government. And I definitely don't need everyone knowing I just binge-watched the first 3 Twilight movies. I'm Team Jacob, and that's the hill I'm going to die on. The point is, unless you're using a VPN like Surfshark, everything you do is being watched and collected and saved. And if you're living in a surveillance state like China, it's even more dangerous. Like, what if one day the Communist Party considers Team Jacob to be politically incorrect? Then that's the hill I will die on. But regardless of what you're doing online, you should be keeping your internet activity private with Surfshark. What you do is not the business of advertisers or the government. Surfshark keeps your online data private with uncrackable encryption. And now, Surfshark has a new feature that will tell you when you go to a website if it's been breached or is part of a data leak. Basically, it's another way to keep you safe from malicious actors, like the Chinese government. So if you don't have Surfshark yet, check it out. And with just one Surfshark account, you can use it on all your devices, your phone, your laptop, and your tablet. So try it out now. Surfshark has a special deal for China Uncensored fans that includes 83% off a 2-year plan plus 3 extra months for free. That makes it just $221 a month. So go to surfshark.com/uncensored and use the code uncensored to get this deal. The link is in the description below. Once again, I'm Matt Gnezda. Thanks for watching China Uncensored.